Hello and welcome back to No Huddle Necessary. I am your host, Jeff Barnes, bringing you the live debates of our nuts and bolts sports football writers and a special guest. So the battle lines are drawn. The Super Bowl teams are set. Chiefs, Buccaneers, Brady, Mahomes, big matchups, big QBs, big names. We're ready to go. I don't know about you guys. This week in between is great for me because I'm a draft geek. But for all of you, it's got to be a killer that you got to sit around a week and wait for this matchup to happen. But don't take it from me. Take it from our guest tonight. So, introducing first. You know, she won the last time she was on here. And, you know, you always see her on Nuts and Bolts Sports. That's right. That's right. You know who we're talking about. We're talking about the queen of Nuts and Bolts Sports. We're talking about Ashmir Prasad is back. Ashmir, welcome back.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. It's going to be fun this week.
I get to have all the fun every week. I just get to sit here and watch. This is great for me all the time. So, but you know what? There's somebody else that's always on here. I can't put my finger on it. Wait a minute. That's right. We're talking about the most famous name in Nuts and Bolts Sports. We're talking about Keith Richards.
I got to get my FaceTime in before the season's over.
Listen, we got a couple more episodes left, man. They are ticking down in this first season. It's been a long first season. I can't believe I made it through this without losing another inch of hairline. So we got our mainstays on. Let's get our guests on. And Joe has been looking for that first victory. Will he get it tonight? Joe Caroga checking in from the desert in Vegas.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me on.
You know?
I was like, did I do that?
Free 2-hour grocery delivery included with Prime.
Playing himself in, everybody. So I guess we can call this the there we go. All right. I guess we can call this the AFC West conversation since everybody here is on the West Coast except for me. Well, he's kind of in that mountain West Coast, whatever. You know, I count you guys as West Coast. Y'all far west than me. But nevertheless, it's time for some first quarter action. So everybody, let's get ready. Here we go. First quarter right out the gate. All right. So first quarter, we're talking about the NFC side of things. All right. We had the Buccaneers going into Green Bay, knock off the Packers. And in a game where the Buccaneers jumped out to a nice big early lead, had some big mistakes by the Packers. And they came back. 3 interceptions in the second half by Brady. They had a chance to go down and tie it down by 8 in the fourth quarter. They get down to fourth down. They kick a field goal. They never see the ball again. So the question for you guys to start this off is, who's the biggest blame for this loss in Green Bay? Is it going to be the head coach who decided to kick it on fourth down? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers for not making enough plays? Or is it going to be the receivers with some key drops in this game? So, you know, it's the first quarter. We got to start this off right. So ladies first. Ashmir, this one is all yours.
So I believe that this is Matt LaFleur's fault. You're going for the Super Bowl, and I believe that the only way to get there is to score a touchdown when you're down a touchdown. So I think mathematically it made the most sense to not kick that field goal in the second half when you're already losing and you have nothing else to lose but the game itself, and they ended up losing. So I'm blaming LaFleur for that. And I don't know if the defensive coaching is included in that, but that halftime touchdown that happened with Scotty Miller, like that's another one. Those two things, like the coaching stuff just wasn't prepared, I guess you could say. I don't know what we were expecting. I think a lot more like grit and a lot more toughness, because you're going up against the GOAT, right? Aaron Rodgers was being discussed as this MVP guy, and you can't blame him for not being able to go for those touchdowns if his head coach is telling him, hey, we're not going to do that because we have more time. I feel like in all football games, they're always talking about running out the clock, maintaining possession, keeping all those things in your favor so that you could win the game. And I don't know in what world LaFleur thought, oh yeah, we'll get the ball back. We'll figure it out. We could still have a chance to score and win. And so I think I'm putting it on LaFleur, and I think that was not a winnable game. I still thought the Bucs were going to come out on top, but I mean, at least they could have had a little more points on the board, because that was the point. I think I'm putting it on LaFleur for sure.
All right, good start. Good start. All right, let's bring it out to Vegas. Joe, you're up on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashmere hit it right on the head. But let's roll the clip, Jeff. Roll the clip. You play to win the game. Hello? Absolutely. You got to go for the touchdown there. You got Aaron Rodgers. We're gonna start pointing fingers at each other, So we talked about who's to blame. Is it the coaching staff? Is it Aaron Rodgers or the receivers? Rodgers. Why would you blame him? First off, I know there was 3 incomplete passes before all that, but 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's good enough to beat Tampa and Tom Brady, isn't it? 8-yard line, 4th and goal, 2 minutes left. Coach, loud and clear with the timeouts. You get 4 breaks, but it's just I don't know. There's no way to really crack this down. Absolutely on the coaching staff. They played it soft. All Tampa had to do was get 1 first down, and there was 4 clock stoppages, but it just wasn't enough. And Tom Brady, I don't know why you're betting against this dude. It's ridiculous. 10 Super Bowls. What are we even talking about right now? The guy is the GOAT, absolutely. But to go 13-3, this one hurts for Green Bay. The questions that Rodgers gets after the games, and then he gives hot takes on where he's going. Listen, he's not going anywhere, right? I get it with the first round pick, but Rodgers isn't going anywhere. 13-3, great year, 2 great years in a row. I know they're disappointed, but you play to win the game, coach. You play to win the game.
Good start. Keith, all yours to close out.
I'm gonna say the blame was equal, actually. Maybe if I was doing it by percentage, I would say 50.1% of the blame is on LaFleur, 49.9% is on Aaron Rodgers. And let's go back to that decision to not go for the touchdown and kick the field goal instead. On that 3rd down play, before they kicked the field goal, Aaron Rodgers had a chance to get into the end zone, if not at least get within a yard or 2 of the end zone. He decided to throw the ball. People can beat up Matt LaFleur for not going for the touchdown. He deserves that beating that he's getting. But Aaron Rodgers had a great stat line, but there was a few decisions like that one where he didn't try to make it into the end zone that didn't help his team either. If we're talking about him being the GOAT, he had the numbers to play like the GOAT, but he didn't make decisions all the time in that game to play like the GOAT. His coaching didn't do him a lot of favor either. With Bakhtiari out, they were getting killed on that left side. They didn't bring a tight end in like they should have to help block. But that play right before the field goal, a couple throws that he did not make, they were so used to Aaron Rodgers making. At some point, we had to stop making excuses for him. The defense was good. They had that good faff at the end of the first half, but If you intercept Tom Brady 3 times in the second half and you can't win that game, then that's a multi-system failure in my opinion. The defense played really well in the second half. The offense was terrible. And a lot of that has to fall on the coaching, but you have to blame Aaron Rodgers for not making the best decisions at times as well.
All right. Good stuff, everybody. Way to start this off strong. Yeah, I'm going to blame Matt LaFleur for a lot of things, but you know what? I'm going to put most of the blame on Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay? 1 out of 5. He's been to the conference championships 5 times, 1 win. Okay? Big-time quarterbacks, and we talked about it, whether it's Manning, whether it's Brady, whether it's Montana. You go down the list. We talk about one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You go there 5 times, you better win at least more than once. You can say a lot of things about Roger Staubach in the Super Bowl. He showed up in every one, and guess what? He got the Cowboys there 4 out of 5 times. Well, 4 times. All right. So you tell me Aaron Rodgers, who's supposed to be so great, only gets them there once. He deserves a lot of heat for what's going on, a lot more. And then don't throw your coach under the bus. When you had a chance to make a play on 3rd down, you passed on it. You missed on throws in key situations in the red zone. And then to make matters worse, to find out that the 3rd down call that you choked up on was your own call. So, yeah, no, I'm sorry, Aaron. You're not getting the pass from me this time. You may have given you some in the past. On this one is all on you. All right? So, we got a lot of people chiming in on this one. You know, so, we got Mr. McMahon chiming in as well. Look at that. Yeah. All right, so, first quarter's in the books. It's a tight game to start. And guess what? It's time for the second quarter. All right, so we just talked about one QB not stepping up to the plate. Let's talk about the other side of the coin there. Last week was supposed to be this big battle of the arms. I remember in the preseason, there was a challenge thrown out by Mahomes when they talked about these 2 arms, where he said, let's go out there and have a battle, throwing contest for charity. And it never happened. Well, you had it for all the marbles this weekend, and one arm didn't show up. So, you know, when you look at it, is it really all on Josh Allen? Was the game just too big for him? You know, let's start this off with Keith. Keith, this one's all yours.
You know, I'm really not going to beat up Josh Allen too much. He didn't have his best game of the season by a long shot, but he still almost threw for 300 yards, almost rushed for 100 yards, completed close enough to 6% of his passes in his first conference championship game. I think the issue that we run into when it comes to the Chiefs is they don't have a top-notch defense, but they have a defense that can get it done when they need to get it done. And that's what we saw, I think, in that game. I mean, I'm not going to put them up against like the Steelers or the Bears or the Colts or some of these great defenses or the Saints that we had in the league this year. But when you talk about playing complementary football, you're usually talking about the offense complementing a great defense. In their case, it's the defense complementing an otherworldly offense. They kind of play with a swagger, and I kind of know that if we can just make one big play and get Mahomes the ball one more time, Mahomes can win this game. And playing with that confidence really shows up in the big games. We saw it in the playoffs last year, and we're seeing it so far in the playoffs this year. I mean, Josh Allen definitely could have made some better decisions in the game, but I think, especially come playoff time, the Chiefs' defense is really underrated, especially with how aggressive they play and how well they know how to get the ball back to Patrick Mahomes.
All right. Good stuff. All right. So, Joe, there you are. What say you about this?
So I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. I'm a huge advocate. There's a actually documented video of this, and I even went on a hot take all the way into hot take lake and said that the Bills were going to challenge the Chiefs for the best team in the AFC this year. It was looking great, right? It was looking great, that 9-0 start. I was starting to pat myself on the back, but I stopped those pats on my back really quickly because I know what we're up against. But absolutely, I'm not going to crush Josh Allen because here's what's really going on. All right, so year two of this Bills turnaround right now. So of course, there's going to be a lot of kinks. There's going to be a lot of things that they need to get better at. I feel like they're really close to being a complete team right now, but they're running into a massive buzzsaw called the Kansas City Chiefs. Right? This just isn't fair for them, to be honest. Played a white knuckler against the Colts, and then took care of the Ravens with pretty good ease. But no, I mean, Josh Allen, this is, like I said, this is year two, 10-6 last year, and then an early exit on a late OT field goal, and then 13-3 this year, a fantastic year. And many considered in the MVP race. So, like I said, I chalk it up to just literally the Chiefs took care of their business on their side of the bracket. They run into the Bills. It started off as a pretty good game, and then the Chiefs just took over like they do, right? And then they end up winning by 2 touchdowns. But they exploded for 21 points in the second quarter. All of a sudden it's 21-9 or 21-12 at half. So moving forward, I think the Bills definitely need to improve that run game. Singletary is okay, but when you got Josh Allen leading the team in rushing yards, you're not going to be able to control the clock. You're not going to be able to keep Mahomes on the sidelines, and I think that's what they need to do moving forward. I think they got the coaching staff, and they have everything else with a solid running game to control that clock. So see you next year, Bills, but watch out. You're probably going to run into the Chiefs again in the playoffs unless somebody takes them out.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Ashmere.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. All right, well, to close it out, I think both of you made great points. The Bills do need, some type of running player added to the team, and we're all rooting for the underdog. I think I've said this myself. I wanted to see Josh Allen play as he has played all season, but there was no way that Patrick Mahomes was going to sit this one out literally and figuratively because he was injured. I thought he was supposed to be under 100%, but it looked like he was playing his perfectly fine, get tackled, throw a completed pass to Travis Kelce, 100% version of himself. I think there's no doubting this team. There's no doubting him. But the Bills deserve credit to win the East the way that they did and play so well after the last 2 years. I think Sean McDermott's done a great job. And from this, is the stage too big? Maybe. The Chiefs are coming back. They want back-to-back Super Bowls. Like this matchup is literally poetic. It's what people have written in the stars to see these two play each other. So and that by those two, I mean Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. So I just think there was no way that Patrick Mahomes was going to let this game fly by him. But overall, the Bills played a phenomenal season. Josh Allen only threw 10 interceptions. They're more veteran quarterbacks that were throwing like 17 and worse than that. I think he's really proven that him and this Bills team are going to be great for seasons to come. And I think that if they add some more pieces to that running game, that'll help them a ton. And, Stephon Diggs is still there, hopefully. And I think that he's obviously a key receiver there. There's a lot of good things from the Bills. And I think this was a great learning experience, but the Bills defense just got demolished by the Chiefs offense. And I was expecting the opposite. I was expecting the Bills defense to put more pressure on them and really stop the running game at least. You can't stop the passing game because I feel like that's just impossible. But I thought they could have put a little hold on Clyde Edwards-Helaire and made that, limited, but that wasn't the case. So the Bills have a lot to look forward to. I think we could put it in a positive light.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. I think I'm going to let Homer say this one for me. All right. Here's where I've always said this about him this year, and he had a great year. He had a great regular season, but I said, okay, let's see what happens playoff time. Let's see if he's really taking that next step. And we saw it in the opening round. He had played a solid game, but he never played that regular season level. Everything was below. The game against the Ravens, only 10 offensive points. This game, it looked very average. So I think at this point, we've got to say, pump the brakes. He is not an MVP candidate like people were talking about during the regular season. The hype train definitely got ahead of the cart, and it's time to get back to saying, okay, let's look at what he's doing, give him the merits that he deserves. Josh Allen is proven to be a franchise quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, but he is not at the elite level of the guy he just got smoked by. So, I think I've said a lot. I'm tired. I need a commercial break. I don't know about you guys. 2 quarters in the books. It's time for a commercial. Let's pay some bills.
The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.
think the music will liven you guys up a little.
Yeah, Jeff, that was lit. I felt like I was in Miami. I was like, this is fun.
Bringing out the West Indian family on my side. That's what it is. You know? All right. So we're halfway through the show. Got a little commercial break in. Let's get back to some content. Here we go. Third quarter. Well, I'll tell you what, the Lions are really jumping into 2021. The first thing they say, Matthew Stafford, you are up for trade. Go seek a trade. See what we can get for you. Because you know what? It's maybe time to move on. You know, so Detroit, you know, spent the first round pick for Stafford, never ever sniffed the Super Bowl. You know, what do you think is the best fit for the former number one pick? You know, so Keith, you're going to start this one out since you haven't started one out yet. So the third quarter is all yours.
I mean, I'm going to be completely biased on this one, and I think Denver would be the best spot for Matthew Stafford. They have two stud running backs in Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon. You have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant. A lot of weapons at the other skill positions as well. The only issue I have is that it depends on what the Lions consider fair market value. That can mean anything to anyone. What I want them to give up a first round pick with how bad the offensive line is? Absolutely not. Well, if they can keep their first round pick and somehow trade to get Stafford without losing too much else, you have a great offense that he could come right into, a good defense as well. I mean, there's not really many other well-established teams at skill position like the Broncos have. I mean, he would be a good fit for the Colts, for the Patriots. I wouldn't even rule out him going down to New Orleans with the uncertainty that Drew Brees has going into. But if he's looking to win, again, completely biased, I'm not going to lie about it, I would say he should come to Denver.
Man, you're quick to move on from that young quarterback that's growing a little bit out there. You know,
I mean, I've made it known. I like Drew Lock, but there's not an opportunity where you get like a Matt Stafford that comes free very often. So sorry, Drew Lock, but if they can get Matthew Stafford, you got to get Matthew Stafford.
Okay, all right, Joe. How do you feel about this one? Oh, you're muted. Hang on. There you go.
Entering this offseason and entering, as we move forward right here after the Super Bowl, I feel like this is going to be the craziest quarterback carousel you've ever seen in the NFL. So who's the best fit? Who's the best fit for Matt Stafford? Every single team that has a quarterback problem right now. So to answer the question directly, though, I think, you got to go Patriots, right? You got to go Patriots. 7-9 this year. Obviously, definitely not the year that they're looking for, but we're moving on from Cam Newton, hands down. And also, Cam Newton running quarterback didn't work, right? So I think Deshaun Watson is off the table for the Pats. You know what I mean? And so I think it's got to be Stafford. He would bring a great veteran presence back to a team that just lost an amazing veteran presence in their team, right? And so, and I think, Bill Belichick, I think he's got it. He's going to get it figured out and bring on somebody like Stafford. Whoever they bring in, it's probably going to be a lot better than it was this year. But I think Stafford's the play there. I really do. And then they have the first round pick. That's number 15 overall. So the Lions, that's what the Lions want back, right? The Lions they're going to need a quarterback for sure if Stafford goes, but they might be able to get somebody at 15 in this year, but I read that they're looking for something 21, 22 and beyond. So this is going to be insane. This off season. Colts, big. That's a big time opportunity for there. The roster is good. Definitely an interesting scenario there where they were just in the playoffs and they're going to move on from Rivers. So that team is literally probably just a quarterback away from getting in there and also making noise in the AFC. But what about this? Are you ready for this? The Washington football team needs
that was mine.
Washington football team needs quarterback. You know why? Because my boy Heine off the table now. He's going to get a lot of attention in the free agency. That boy played well. He balled out. He earned a little paycheck there. I know that's crazy, but y'all saw what I saw, and that's how I feel. Someone's going to probably take a chance on him so that if Washington moves on from Alex Smith and they're going to lose Heineke, what else are they going to do? And they got a draft pick ready for the Lions. So I don't know. It could happen. So love to hear what you got, Ashmere.
Ashmere, it's all yours.
My rollout. Okay. I think, first of all, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback. The Niners might need one, Denver, Carolina, the Colts, Washington. There's too many, the Patriots. There's so many teams that could take Stafford, and I think he would do a lot better than he has with Detroit at anywhere. But I was going to say Denver, and I was also going to say the Washington football team, try to keep myself standing out. I think those are my top two choices just based off of the offense that both those teams have. Like Keith mentioned, they've got Jerry Jeudy out there. They've got so many different pieces that could make Denver elite. And, I mean, the only other competitors in the division are my Raiders, and they ain't all that great. So I think if you could compete with that, that would make you way better in the division. And I think Denver has, the team momentum and the coaching staff. I think overall this would be a great fit. If not, like Joe just said, Washington football team would be super dope, even though I think they're going to keep Heineke personally because the way that he played was cool. Can he repeat that week after week after week? That's up for another topic discussion. But I do think that Stafford can bring what he knows to that Washington football team and develop what has already started there. I mean, they literally gave the Bucs the run for their money, and let's put Stafford in that. I think he's like a top 15 QB, somewhere between 15 and 20 within that top 5. And I think understanding how he plays and how that could change the dynamic of an offense. Like he could take any team, into the postseason with everything that he's got. So I think those are the two I would pick for my options.
Wow. I'll tell you what. I have a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford. Here's a guy who in the beginning I was very critical of. I didn't think that, coming out of Georgia, he should have went as high, maybe a couple picks later, but I still thought he was a first round quarterback. But overall, from what I've seen him in Detroit, granted, he had some excellent receivers at one point when he had Megatron and Golden Tate and that whole crew with Kenny Galladay. It just never worked out. Then they just started messing around with the coaching situation, made it even worse. Wherever he goes, I think you have to get it to the point now. He's starting to show the injury bug. He's gotten older. You got to be able to protect him. You don't want him throwing 40 times a game and running around for his life. So it's got to be a team with a running game. Very intriguing that somebody said New England. I know there's a lot of people that do not want to see him meet up with Belichick in New England, but it's very intriguing that happens. Oh boy, you thought that the talk with Cam was going to be big last year. That'll be even bigger.
Well, let me throw one more team out there and see what you think, Jeff. We all know Jerry Jones is not one to pay.
I had a feeling you were going there.
I knew you were going to say that.
I had a feeling you were going there.
He is a Texas boy, if I'm not mistaken. Could he go to Dallas?
Could he go to Dallas?
And Dak to the Niners or what?
Well, I'll tell you what. In order for the Dallas Cowboys to get anything for Dak Prescott, they still have to franchise him. All right. And then in order to trade him, there has to be a sign and trade. The new team that you're going to trade him to has to come up with a long-term deal to avoid the cap hit. Salary cap year. Nobody wants to deal with all that. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't really think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to end up either on another franchise tag or on a long-term deal in Dallas. Mm-hmm. I do not think he's going anywhere. So that's the one thing about it is it's the perfect storm for the Cowboys. Yes, he has a lot of leverage because they had a miserable year after he got hurt. They were having a bad year when he was there, but a miserable year when he got hurt. I just think that because of the fact that COVID has hit the league economy so big that you're not going to see the huge movement that you would normally see in a big year. I think that it's going to be part of the issue. Teams are not going to have the same kind of cap room. This cap is going down this year. Yeah, it's just my opinion. Good. Oh, there you are. You can unmute yourself, Joe. Yeah, there you go.
All right. What about this? This is something I've been mulling over a little bit too. I mean, with this many quarterbacks available, right, and quarterbacks trying to be on the move and technically quote unquote available. You know what I mean? What do we see a trade one quarterback for another? As in, like, let's just say we brought up Dallas, right? Do we go Matt Stafford to Dallas, Dak to Detroit, and you know what I mean? Do a little quarterback swapping just to get people, just to get some of these players a new situation, kind of like what Deshaun is looking for. Because I think that's what's going to happen with Watson. Like, he's not just going to walk. There's going to have to be. They need a quarterback. All of these quarterbacks that have number one quarterbacks, right? There's nobody that's a backup to come in hot and take over, right? Okay, Dallas has Dalton, but that ain't happening. Let's be real, right? So if your team is looking for a quarterback right now, you need to get one in return, either via trade or the draft. Now, some of these quarterbacks that are in the draft, there's some good ones, right? There's 4 legit ones right now. But if you're in the 20s, those guys are not going to be around. So you're going to have to trade and know exactly what you're doing and move up. Not only are you going to lose your quarterback, but you're going to have to trade, give something else away to get up into the draft as well and get your number one quarterback. So there's a lot going on, man. There is a lot going on.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be some moves, but they're going to be significantly less big moves when it comes to salary cap implications. Now, we talked about Prescott. That's one, unless Dallas just doesn't sign him or tag him. For the most part, he's going to have to be moved via trade if they decide to move on from him. Andy Dalton will not be back in Dallas because, plain and simple, he's going to look to get paid. He showed that I could still be a decent starter somewhere. So he's going to look to move on and go somewhere else. So they're going to be looking for a backup quarterback to Dak Prescott, who should be back on time for training camp. So I believe, like I said, he's going to get tagged or signed, one of the two. He'll be back in Dallas. They'll probably bring in another person just to make sure if anything happens to Dak, they're in good hands. But, Dallas's problems are way bigger than quarterback. You got to have somebody to protect your quarterback. And right now, Tyron Smith hasn't played a full season in 4 years. Lyle Collins missed most of last season, if not all, actually. He missed every game. And then you had injuries along the line elsewhere. Basically, their offensive line is in flux. Okay. And they're going to lose half their secondary, if not more. So
is that an issue, though?
Well, their young cornerbacks are just starting to play the form. Their issue has been safety play. Their safeties have been pretty scary, with the exception of the young kid, Donovan Wilson, who was coming up this year. But for the most part, the safety play has been the downfall of their secondary. Chidobe Awuzie is one of those solid corners for those guys. He's a guy that's going to be on the market. Same thing with with Jordan Lewis, another guy they've relied on. He's going to be on the market. They did lock down Anthony Brown, and of course they drafted Diggs. So otherwise, they're going to lose half their corners. So I'll specify the corners. I won't even say secondary. Let's just say half the corners. The safeties, if they lose half those guys, they'll be fine because they weren't really exactly performing up to par anyway. But all right,
I got one more.
Go for it.
Want to keep it moving?
No, we got a little time. We got a little time before we go into the fourth. So
something piqued my interest, right? Somebody on Twitter, well, my boy Jerry Free, brought up the 49ers. So actually, Jimmy G. Who wouldn't want Jimmy G right now on their team, right? I'm sure there's a handful of teams that would be like, all right, Niners, you want to shop him a little bit. We're interested in quarterback. We'll take him off your hands for XYZ. What do you guys think about that? I mean, that's a very interesting move too. I don't really know. I'm not really spun up on the 49ers, and I'm not sure why they're looking to go away from him when they were just in the Super Bowl a year ago. But I'd like to hear your takes on that. What do you guys think?
All right. So, Keith, go ahead.
I think the Niners like Jimmy G. The problem is he really just hasn't been healthy. So you don't really know. You can't really gauge his progress because he's not in the game. You don't know what you can get for him because he's not in the game until he gets a full season. I mean, I don't think he started a full season yet, and he's how many years in? I don't think he's going to be what everyone thought he was going to be, like this huge megastar. But I think he still could be a good franchise quarterback. He just hasn't proved it by playing.
I'm going to tell you one of the biggest issues with Jimmy G. Yes, injuries are a big issue. But here's the deal. He got $100 and something million contract that he has not played up to yet. Mm-hmm. Yes, they made it to the Super Bowl, but it was mostly he did play He did play well in most games, but that defense carried the Niners most of that year and their running game. Totally. Right? So realistically, if I'm a team, I'm not trading for that contract for that quarterback. If there's way better $100 million quarterbacks that are looking to be moved right now, he's lower on my list. There's no way I'm settling for Jimmy G if I have way better options, whether it's another $100 million quarterback or in the draft.
Very true.
Yeah. So, with that being said, it's almost that time. Fourth quarter time. Everybody throw up your fours. Everybody throw up your fours. All right, so it's that time of the night where we get down to it. And let's talk about that team in my division that I am not exactly a big fan of. That's right. We're talking about those Philadelphia Eagles. I hate seeing this darn graphic. Oh, it drives me nuts every time I see that. They just found their new head coach. Nick Sirianni, the offensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts, is now their new head coach. A Frank Reich disciple, another guy that you would call off the tree of the former head coach that was just there. So we're talking about this hire. Is anybody else sold on this? And being in this fourth quarter, it's going to be a tight one. Let's see who should start this one off. Oh, let's start it off with the Queen. Queen, this is all yours.
Okay. I think anyone coming from the Colts is like a special treat because the Colts played phenomenally well. They've done so for the past couple years. And I also think anybody that's willingly taking on this role to figure out what's wrong with Carson Wentz is like a treat themselves. When they fired Doug Peterson, I felt that in my heart because the man brought the Eagles to the Super Bowl on a backup QB that isn't doing very well anymore, but whatever, wasn't under his watch. So what does he care? And I think that, I don't think Wentz is going to be spotlighted as much as he is. So I think he's like jumping into a pit of fire right now but he's circled with water. Like he could figure out his way out, but it's going to be tough. And I do think that any changes that he makes are going to be at the quarterback position. And I don't know if Doug Peterson was going to be able to do that because this is such a sticky situation. But I was reading and they said Sirianni is like a really great person. They loved his energy, the way that he, communicated with the Eagles organization, all that kind of good stuff. So I feel like as long as you're making good connections with everybody, that's important. And it could have just been time for Wentz to look at somebody else and take the play calling from another person who has a successful offense with a team that is now looking for a quarterback. So I think overall, anyone that's stepping into this role is going to be in for something different. And we're all going to see how this transpires over the year because Carson Wentz is going to be benched by like game 5. I'm just calling it here. So.
By game 5.
Yeah.
Isn't he benched already?
Technically, but I think he's going back. I think he's going back to the top of the depth chart until otherwise. But by game 5, wow, that's bold. I'm going to mark that one down.
Yeah, take that. Because I think by then Jordan Love will have seen like that flow that he needs to catch on to. Plus, I'm pretty sure they're going to have Love and Wentz battle it out in the offseason, just like they made Trubisky and Nick Foles do in Chicago, right? And that was just shitty. Okay, they did each one and they hated it both, so it was complicated.
Yeah, well, he's definitely gonna have to fight it out with Hurts, But yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. I get it. Yeah. It's all right, Joe. What you got for us on this one?
So I'm still recovering from that disaster of what that was, that last Eagles game. I'm not even ready to comment on all of that. There's so much going on, so much to talk about. There he is. There's the old Wentz on the bench. But you know what, man? I actually, over my years of being a football fan, and I just, some of these dudes just go in there, very prepared, and then the whole, sports fandom world is like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? And like some of these guys are very prepared, and their resume looks very good, especially if you get something that's bad and turn it to good, right? This is life. But I will bring up something right now, right here. And that Eric Bieniemy should have got that job. And if he shouldn't have got that job, then he should have a job right freaking now. So I don't know what's under. I'm not sure what's going on. I know that talking about some of this may take us on another turn. But like Coach EB is the freaking man. Look what he's doing in Kansas City. I don't care what you say about talent. I don't care what you say about Andy Reid. That dude has done enough. He's done enough to get a job in this league right now with this many coaching openings. If you only got 2 or 3 or 4, I think it's it's 4. It's between 4 and 6 every year that the coaching turnover on the franchises. But like, there's a lot of openings this year, and there's a lot of openings that have a lot of talent, with teams that have a lot of talent. So if you're not going to look at Coach EB's resume, and at least make sure that he's given them the right scenario and the right situation to be your head coach, I don't know what else he needs to do. I really don't. But back to Coach Sirianni, absolutely phenomenal job with the Colts, right? 4-11 and 19, and then he grabs Rivers, old man Rivers, for a season, and all of a sudden they're making all kinds of noise in the AFC. So, I would imagine that he went in there extremely prepared, is what I was going to say. He probably went in there like, here's what I can do for your franchise. Here's what I did for their franchise. Here's what I did with an awkward quarterback carousel as well. And here's my plan with what we're going to do with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. Here's what we're going to do. And so he won the interview, right? And that does happen in this league. Just like everybody went crazy over LaFleur getting the job and Sean McVay, but obviously those turned out okay. So, well, if the Eagles think they got their guy, then that's on them, man. You know what I mean? Like, who am I to sit here and say that they didn't get the right man for the job? I will just double tap the coach, Eric Bieniemy, though, not getting the job. That's crazy. And I also think that at the end of the day, these teams, those decisions and not hiring him is going to haunt somebody here in the 2021 season.
You got the approval of the boss with that one. Yeah. All right, Keith, you're closing this one out.
I think it's kind of a love-hate hire. I agree that it is just an absolute crime that Eric Bieniemy does not have a job yet. If there's anyone who's a quarterback whisperer, it is Eric Bieniemy. I mean, not that Patrick Mahomes didn't have any talent, but the fact that he's got him to show his talent so quickly and have him go and win a Super Bowl so quickly, I think, how does he not have a job? But the reason why I do love the hire for the Eagles is because I am still not convinced that they are ready to move on from Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz may be ready to move on from them. I think that's why Doug Peterson got fired, is because the guy that they just dropped over $100 million on was not getting along with Doug Peterson. So what do? They can't get Frank Reich because he's in Indy. So they get someone from the Frank Reich tree who worked with Carson Wentz in the best season of his young career so far, which was the season that they went to the Super Bowl. He got hurt before the playoffs. I think that hire proves that they will try every single thing they can to make this Carson Wentz thing work. And this is probably their last-ditch effort. If you can't make it work with somebody who worked with Frank Reich, who Carson Wentz was so good with, then he just can't make it work in Philly. I think he's going to be gone by the end of that season as well. I think the 5th game is a little high. I think he's going to be benched by the second quarter of the first game. But they're trying their hardest to make him work because they were stupid and paid him that much money to begin with. So I'm not knocking the coach, but I think this is a play to try to make Carson Wentz happy, and they should just hire Bieniemy because it's not going to make Carson Wentz happy. I don't think it's going to make Carson Wentz better. They're going to end up moving on from him. So to me, I love that they're trying to make it work with him, but I don't think it's going to work.
Oh, well, listen, I think you all made great points. Honestly, I am with you guys on the Bieniemy thing. Listen, the Eagles were the last ones to the fire your head coach dance. Okay, so you had plenty of time
Mhm.
to make up your mind on this. The rush and go with Sirianni, who honestly, he was on nobody's radar before this season. Nobody said anything about Sirianni as a head coaching candidate at the beginning of this season. So, granted, he had a great year as a first year offensive coordinator, and granted, and I get all that, but you have a guy who came up through the system. I remember Eric Bieniemy not only when he was a running back for the Chargers, but as a running backs coach in Cincinnati. And he's bounced around over and learned a lot from a lot of people. Here's a guy who's worked his way up to offensive coordinator and everything else. And yet what we get is he didn't interview well. we found this, we got that, the background. And we have guys who've done well. You can't tell me that Rex Ryan was squeaky clean. Okay, he's still not squeaky clean now. He's gotten 2 head coaching jobs. Okay, let's face it, a good coach is a good coach. Buddy Ryan was. I'm not going. It's too much. I don't have enough time to talk about the Ryans. Okay, all right. So the fact of the matter is, yes, the Eagles could have done a better job of filling this position. Doesn't mean that this coach is going to fail. No. You want to take the chance on a young coach? I have no problem with taking the chance on a young coach. But you know what? You also got to give the guys their due, and they keep passing over guys for every reason in the world because they're not in their circle. The enemy is not in their circle. Sad but true.
Yeah, you got it. The dues paid is number one for me as well. You know what I mean? Like before anything else I said, and I failed to mention that. Sorry about that, but no doubt he paid his dues, man. Paid his dues. Like he has been coaching a long time, up and down, everybody's trees and college. So I know I've been getting blown up on Twitter a lot about character stuff, and so then I do my research and I'm like, okay, that was when he was young. He was young. We're doing college, and is that what we're going to do when we're going to punish a man in his 40s for something that he did when he was 20 years old? Hey, listen, this is the NFL. Can you coach or not, big dog? And that man can coach, and his resume is full of accolades that show those things. So this is atrocious.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've had some great takes, and welcome to the show, Albert. I'm glad you're watching. We got to crown a winner, because we can keep this going, but we'll keep it going. We have to crown a winner. So with that being said, let's get with the graphic. All right. So for those that are new to the show, when it comes down to the exits before the winner is crowned, okay, it doesn't matter what your points are. If you ain't first, you're last, in the words of the great Ricky Bobby. Okay, so just because somebody goes out first doesn't mean they're last, and sometimes it does. It's at my discretion in the host chair. That's the beauty of having this seat. I get to sit here most of the show, and then I get to make the final decisions. So, my evil laugh. So, that being said, the first exit of the show tonight is going to be the Queen is going to make a fashionably early exit tonight.
No,
but don't go anywhere, Queenie. You'll be right back. All right. There. All right. So, is it going to be a first for Joe? Is it going to be Keith getting that elusive? I lost count how many FaceTimes he's had.
Looking for number 4.
Looking for number 4. At least you're keeping count. All right. So, going with the tally here. Let's just say it stays out west. Just further west than you. It's going to the desert for the first time. Joe takes the show. So, Joe, 3 minutes of FaceTime all yours. I'm heading to the back.
All right. Man, feels good to be a champ. feels good to be a champ. I was just down in Florida playing some slow pitch softball, and we didn't do so well, but that's okay. I'm back. So I just want to take a minute to say thank you to everybody who brings me on these shows. That's also a really good time. I love it. Cutting up about some of my passions, right? It's sports. We bring a lot to the table as fans. Sometimes fandom gets in the way, but if you really do have a passion for sports and the sporting industry, then you'll do the correct research. You'll do the things that you need to do to enhance your knowledge of what's going on. So, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm breaking in, just retired from the military a couple months ago. So I'm not here to play games. I really am here to network and grow my knowledge of all these sports, discuss them because it really is true and dear to my heart. So I'm really excited about what the future has for me and moving forward in this game. And also I want to do one thing real quick. You know how hard it is to go to the Super Bowl? It's really hard. Do you know how hard it is to go to the Super Bowl 10 times? I can't get over this after watching these games this weekend while I was down in Florida, and I just couldn't get off the topic. I can't get off the topic. Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl 10 times. He has won 6 of them, but also there was a great meme going around out there, a great meme, and it is that Tom Brady has a better chance of going to the Super Bowl than Steph Curry has making a 3-pointer right now. Let that sink in right now. So Tom Brady, if there was any GOAT conversation, you have taken it, smashed it, crumpled it up, threw it over your shoulder, and are leading into first place, and it's ridiculous. But yes, I can't believe he has taken a team, Tampa Bay. They was loaded with talent, but we saw what they did last year. I believe they were 4-12. To take them 11-5 and burn through the NFC on the road, taking out Drew Brees and Rodgers. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm not really on the bandwagon, but this dude has earned everything that he has earned. He's 43 years old, 10 Super Bowls. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are next at 8 as a team. It's insane. So big ups to Tom Brady and his 10 Super Bowls. And we're watching freaking history right now. Thanks, y'all. We will see you next time.
All right. So everybody on this panel has now at least got one win. So I think we're making progress here. I think I've had maybe 1 or 2 people that have come on the show that haven't won yet, and I think that's because they've only been here 1 or 2 times. So you play the averages. Eventually, you get that W. Or multiple W's. I mean, but great show, guys. I'll tell you what. Listen, people are loving it. The people are digging you guys. Like I said, I just get to sit here and listen to the arguments. So I am no different from the audience, except I get to trade the points. So
I will say this about Tom Brady. Like, I hate the man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like Tom Brady. I hate him so much that I can't admit that he is, depending on your preference, one of the top 3 quarterbacks of all time. The thing that kind of rubs me wrong when you talk about him in the aspect of being the GOAT is he's never really been in a bad situation on a team. I mean, the second the New England Patriots looked like they weren't going to be good, he jumped ship to the Bucs. And people give LeBron a lot of crap about jumping teams, about not staying with his team, but Tom Brady has never had or even had any reason until last season to leave his team. So, I mean, it's going to be hard for him to do now. He's 43, but I would have liked him to be on a bad team to see how far he takes a bad team, because he's never really truly played on bad teams.
True that, Keith.
Indeed. And I'll tell you what.
I disagree.
I'm gonna tell you,
those Patriots teams were not very good, man. They weren't. We're talking the Julian. I mean, all right. The year with Randy Moss, Randy Moss is the best wide receiver to play for the Patriots, right? But he was only there 1 or 2 years, and it was the one Super Bowl where they got dumped by the Giants, right? But I mean, who is their number one receiver and number one running back half of these times, man? Some of these guys are just washaways from other teams. You're telling me Julian Edelman is going to be like a number one wide receiver on all the other teams in the NFL?
No. I think when you look at Tom Brady's career is what it is. I won't say that he's not one of the greatest of all time. To me, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to really give me a little more than granted. Making it to 10 Super Bowls was great. Starbuck made it to 5, and people never even threw a greatest quarterback label on him. Mm-hmm. So I mean, sometimes team success. People talk about Bradshaw as the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and that team was loaded. I could have quarterbacked the 70 Steelers to a Super Bowl back then, But getting back to it, the first couple of Super Bowls, Tom Brady was a.
What was he?
Did it go? I wasn't sure I did it for you guys too.
Lost him. And he's like ready.
That's the show, guys. See you later. That's the show. Wrap it up.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah. Anytime I talk bad about Tom Brady, that's what happens. I said that I started talking about him last week, and they dropped my Wi-Fi. You want to know why? Because I live now in the Tampa Bay area, so I can't say anything about their Tom Brady down here. No. You don't understand. I get mobbed by the only time I've been mobbed by more Tom Brady jerseys was when I was actually in 2016 when I was coaching in a championship game up by Foxborough. I stayed in a hotel up there and went into the supermarket in Foxborough, and nothing but Patriot stuff everywhere. So that was the only time I've ever been mobbed by more Tom Brady jerseys than I have been in the last 2 weeks. But nevertheless, great quarterback. I'll never say he's not. I'm just going to say, but in the beginning, he was a see, even the boss is saying I better show some respect. So he knows what happens. They cut my Wi-Fi off on me. So
Jeff's like, I got to stop.
So, but yeah, he was a bus driver the first 2 times around. Meager stats. They ran the ball a lot with Antoine Smith, and then he had that great defense that had McGinnis and Ty Law and all those guys on defense. So, and all those guys are, if they're not Hall of Famers, they're at least in that Ring of Honor in New England. So they're all legitimate players. When he got to the point where they couldn't win with that formula anymore, and he had to become Tom the Arm, he did it. I can't say nothing about it. He still won. Didn't win against the Giants twice for some reason. And honestly, he should have lost to Atlanta too. So yeah.
And Seattle, you should have lost to Seattle as well.
Oh yeah. Well, let's not even go there with that one. Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll had to give the one back. You fired me the first time, Bob Kraft. Here, take this as an olive branch. You get the Super Bowl right here. There's no way I'm not running Marshawn Lynch in that situation. I don't care who. Jesus could have told me come down and not run the ball. I'm still running the ball in that situation.
Of course, Joe was talking about Tom Brady like he's God because he went to Michigan.
He's been let off the hook so many times. You already mentioned them all. It's very hard to get there, man. It's really hard to get there, and so I'm going after the number, more than anything else. It's just. And to me, it's just extremely impressive, right? It's just extremely impressive. Yes, you have to be in the right situation. You have to have longevity, though, right? And so, look at all these quarterbacks right now that aren't happy where they are. Ooh, you know what I mean? We're not doing the right thing, and I want to move on. Like, some of these situations, you got to be in the right situation, and you got to get lucky. You got to get lucky for sure. Has he gotten lucky a lot more than another guy or so? Oh, absolutely, bro.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's crazy, man. It's just it's live right now.
It's helped playing in the AFC East for that long. It helped when you win your division easily every year. That helped big time. But parting is such sweet sorrow, people. It is time to wrap up the show. So I'm gonna tell you guys to hang on 1 second. So let me do this real quick. All right. So all right. I hope it's not bumping me off again. I was talking bad about Brady. No, I'm sorry. All right, hang on. Do it the old-fashioned way. All right, so we've had a great show for you guys. Only a couple more shows left in this amazing first season of No Huddle Necessary. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week, once again, live here, 9 o'clock on the Nuts and Bolts Sports Network on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. You watch. We love bringing you the show. We'll be back with more. And after that wraps up, after we wrap up this amazing first season, we're going to have some draft coverage coming for you because we know I'm all about the draft. So I can't stop being on your screen and talking about players that want to play football. So that's going to be me and Bill Carroll bringing you that. But more to come on that. Stay tuned till next week. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.